There is no peace in a man who bows before madness. There is no honor in the person who considers poison their wine, sips it slowly, and whispers the word love while it destroys them. The contemporary man is not destroyed by wars, famine, or fires. He is undone by a smile, a kiss, a soft voice that wraps around him like a serpent around his spine, teaching him to appreciate the constriction. And no one cries for him because he accepted to die in silence. Marcus Aurelius never begged. He ruled. He didn't chase storms to feel alive, but mastered them. And he left important warnings, not poems, not words of comfort. Simple warnings. You have control over your mind, he wrote, not over external events. However, today's man has abandoned both. He allows a woman to become the storm, the event, the deity of his every emotional state, and, worse yet, believes this is romance. So listen now, attentively as if your future depended on it. Because it does. Before we move on to your key turn, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, so you motivate us to bring more content that will completely change your life. Take advantage and share the video sulfur monoxide that other people can know the truth. There are 10 behaviors that no man should tolerate from a woman. Not for fear of being alone, nor for fear of losing her, but because he refuses to lose himself. And allowing these behaviors to go unanswered, he is not a man in love. He is a chained man. The first of these is mockery. The rolling of eyes, the sarcastic remarks in front of friends, the public shaming that she later dismisses as a joke. A woman who cannot speak of you with reverence should not speak to you at all. Aurelius stated, "What hurts the queen bee, hurts her image, her essence." Insult. The second behavior is the normalization of chaos. She never finds peace. Her moods dominate the house. One moment she's warm, the next cold. Her anger is a blade, and you're constantly bleeding. And yet, you convince yourself this is passion. It's not. It's a pathology. Nowhere can a man find a calmer refuge than in his own soul, wrote Marcus Aurelius. But he who shares his bed with a tempest can never retreat. He will only flee from it, from himself, from the dream of a life he once desired. The third is the dependence on attention. The woman who cannot survive without male validation. The one who exposes more skin than thoughts, measures her worth by the likes and messages she receives. She says this is empowerment. But if her value comes from the eyes of strangers, she will never value the man who sees her essence. Aurelius warned against the pursuit of illusions. It is not death that a man should fear, he wrote, but never to begin to live. And the man who lives with a woman who adores the crowd never truly begins. He is merely a shadow beside the spotlight she reserves for herself. The fourth behavior is sexual manipulation. She retaliates to punish, grants to reward, uses intimacy, not as love, but as a means of control. And you, craving warmth, crawl like a beggar to her throne. Marcus Aurelius taught self-control, detachment, the victory of reason over impulse. But the man dominated by his passion is not a true man. He becomes a slave, paying in dignity for moments of pleasure. Sex isn't the problem. Her control over it is. And your obedience to that authority is the real disease. The fifth is the contempt for his purpose. She laughs at his goals, rolls her eyes at his discipline, interrupts his concentration because she sees no value in his future unless it benefits her. This isn't partnership. It's sabotage. Of a man, a real man, it should be one. That's what Marcus Aurelius wrote. But you can't be one if every advance you make is ridiculed by those walking beside you. The man who stays beside a woman who despises his mission will one day wake up in a life shaped by her, completely empty of himself. 5 points earned, 5 yet to come. And if even one of these seems familiar, then this is not just a list. It's a mirror. You are bleeding. And that's not noble. It's romantic. It's not sacrifice. It's self-destruction wearing perfume. Marcus Aurelius wasn't kind, and neither is the truth. Let's finish what we started. The sixth point. The ghost of competition. She doesn't want to walk beside you. She wants to surpass you. Her words are full of comparisons. Her victories need to be taller than yours. Her success, her income, followers, status, all of these are weapons. Gradually, the man becomes a silhouette in his own home. Marcus Aurelius warned, ambition is tying your well-being to what others say or do. And here she is, tying her worth to the need to surpass who should be her guardian, not her adversary. You are not her man, her mirror, and she will only love you when you reflect her superiority. The seventh point: emotional manipulation disguised as trauma. Every mistake is justified by her past. Every cold gesture, every cruel word, every betrayal, explained by some wound she claims to be healing. You've stopped being a partner. You've become her therapist, her punching bag, her confidant. She sins, and you repent. The more she says she's affected, the more guilty you feel for wanting love from her. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But this isn't revenge, it's corruption. She's not healing, she's hijacking your empathy. And if you confuse your role as a man with that of a redeemer, you will be crucified by a woman who never cared to change. Point: entitlement without responsibility. She expects more from you than she gives, demands royalty, and offers peasant treatment, yet considers herself the prize. Her gratitude has vanished. Her criticisms are incessant. You build, she evaluates. You sacrifice, she demands. You lead, she resists. Not because your leadership is bad, but because yielding to strength seems a loss to the ego that created her this way. Marcus Aurelius would clearly perceive, other people hurt me, but that is their problem. Their actions and character are not my concerns. But the man who allows a woman's ingratitude to define his self-worth no longer lives with Stoic wisdom. He drowns in another's arrogance. Ninth point: boundary testing. The little lies, the delayed messages to friends, the disappearances, the photos she swore she wouldn't post. These aren't catastrophic betrayals. They are, in fact, a daily drop of silent treachery. The woman who knows your limits and pushes them just to see if you react. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it isn't right, don't do it. If it isn't true, don't say it." But if she does and you stay, what does that say about you? Each test you pass will be etched in her memory, and each failure will fuel new challenges, until your pattern becomes fictional and your silence a tacit permission. 10th point: the erosion of respect. Not through open fights or dramatic scenes, but through the silent absence of admiration. She no longer listens when you speak, no longer observes your entrance. You've become merely background noise in the house you built. She isn't cruel, just indifferent. And this is the most subtle, yet most devastating, form of betrayal. Because a man can withstand hatred, but he cannot withstand being ignored. Upon waking in the morning, wrote Marcus Aurelius, consider the privilege of being alive, think, enjoy, love. But what of the man who wakes beside a woman and sees no privilege in it? He stops getting up. He begins to wither. These are the 10 reasons. Not opinions, not complaints, but concrete realities. Each one a door opened to the death of a man's purpose. A silent surrender, one at a time. And most will ignore them because truth offends, while lies seduce. But some, the rare few, will listen. They realize that love without respect is slavery masked in a smile. And they will remember what Marcus Aurelius advocated: mental discipline, self-mastery, and the sanctity of inner peace. The illusions are now gone. What remains is the man, vulnerable, wounded, one step away from becoming a tyrant to himself, or a prison for others. Marcus Aurelius called this the battlefield of the soul. Let's face it. Now that the 10 toxins have been named, the question is not whether a man has already perceived them, but whether he tolerates their presence, because that's where the real tragedy begins, not in her conduct, but in his silence. A man's destruction never begins with her. It begins with what he allows in the name of love. And every time he forgives what should have been left behind, every time he explains betrayal with smooth arguments, every time he adjusts his standards to maintain her presence, he is not preserving the relationship, he is burying himself alive. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man should be whole, not kept whole." But that is the condition of millions of men today. They are kept upright by hope, by fantasies, by the memory of who she was in the beginning, but not by the reality of who she has become. They build their days trying not to contradict her, learning to read the weather in her eyes. They call this commitment. But it's not commitment, it's fear, it's emasculation, the slow suicide of autonomy. There is no glory in being the emotionally shielded man who absorbs every wound. That doesn't represent strength. It's an illusion shaped by hopelessness. To walk away without justifications. To choose your sanity over her apologies. To say, I don't need to burn just because she's cold. But this kind of strength is only born in tranquility. From a man who stays with himself long enough to remember that he was whole before she arrived and that he will continue to be so after she leaves. This is the moment Marcus Aurelius referred to when he said, "Do not waste the rest of your life speculating about others, unless it is for mutual benefit." And what benefit is there in incessantly analyzing her tone of voice, deciphering her moods, negotiating basic decency? This is not love. It's surveillance. And the man who becomes a detective in his own relationship has already lost the case. But the heaviest cost is not psychological, it's spiritual. When a man tolerates what destroys him, his soul begins to rot. His eyes dim, his posture slumps. Laughter disappears. He becomes a shadow, a faint presence. Still, the world insists that he should try harder, communicate better, be more vulnerable, as if his suffering were his fault. As if he hadn't already molded himself into countless shapes, only to be enough for a woman who never wanted a man, but only control. Marcus Aurelius would call this what it really is, a war of attrition. A man's identity is revealed in the absolute clarity with which he sees his existence. The only true weapon is this transparency, a clarity that admits no concessions, that does not depend on further evidence, that does not seek ultimate justifications. A man who possesses this sharp vision walks through the world without rancor, without resentment, without a desire for revenge, only with a firm certainty. And this certainty, in turn, can cause fear in her, for she never feared losing his love, only feared losing control over him. He knows his own strength. He resumed the path forged by Marcus Aurelius, the journey of inner mastery. His days begin with discipline. His communication is slow, careful. His moments are dedicated with purpose. He prefers reading to superficial browsing. He builds instead of complaining. He seeks solitude not to drown in sadness, but to refine himself. The world may call him cold, but it never understood the true concept of royalty. With time, wounds heal, temptations lose their power. He no longer feels the need to explain what he went through. He doesn't idealize her return, for he has already seen the price. Already touched bottom. When a man rebuilds himself from ruins, he doesn't negotiate his empire to win the attention of another woman. Marcus Aurelius left an inexorable lesson, a question every man should inscribe in the mirror at dawn. When it's difficult to get out of bed, say to yourself, "Today I must work as a human." That is the true mission. Not to seek approval, not to please, not to argue, but to build and protect his own being. Returning to the sacred flame of self-discipline, a flame that no woman, however beautiful, should extinguish. It is in this moment that wounds become weapons, that clarity becomes legislation, and that the man decides, either he returns to his throne, or he remains forever lost in the fog. Thus it ends, as Marcus Aurelius would have done it, with fire, truth, and command. The man who remembers his essence becomes untouchable, not by dominating others, but by no longer yielding to lies. He transcended the illusion that love must cause pain, and tolerance is strength, and being a true man implies accepting all the storms it brings, and nothing more. The true man is not the weak one. He is the one who clearly sees the circumstances, and even so, chooses discipline over desire, distance over dysfunction, peace over empty performance.